Hi and welcome to this latest video in a series on how to make a simple game using Stencyl, and in this video we are going to focus on adding graphics and importing graphics and sprites into our game ready to build levels with. So the first thing you're going to need to make sure is that you have some graphics, and I talked about that in previous videos, so I'll assume that you are ready to go with that. We're going to begin also by getting ready to click on the style sheets icon over here under resources. So again, I'm also working on the assumption that you've set up a new game and you're ready to start. So it tells us we have no tile sets. Click here to create one. So I'm going to click there to create my first tile set, and then I'm going to give it a name. And as is going to be a common theme in Stencyl, you need to create a name for your set of tiles that kind of describes what the tiles are. So I'm going to call these maze game space maze tiles. Okay, because I've made some kind of science fiction sprites which are going to go into kind of a sci-fi maze game. So I'm going to click create, and then it's ready to go. So you can see on the left hand side here I've got the actual tile set layout, and we'll look at that in a second. And here is where we can import our individual tiles or sprites, and you see there it says import tiles from sheet. Now you can place them from clipboard, but we're going to choose and import our own images from the ones that we've made. Now before we do that, it's important you change the scale. You've got a scale option here. You need to make sure that's set to ×1, okay, because otherwise the image you import, the images are going to be smaller than you want them to be. So this will mean that they're imported in the size that you created them. So you can see we've got a tile width of 32 by 32, which if you follow the videos on Pascal will be the size of sprite that you've already created. So I'll click choose image, and then I'm going to navigate to my folder where I've stored all my sprites. I've got rather a lot of folders on my desktop, probably more than I should have, but never mind. And you can see I've actually saved all of these inside. I've organized them all into a folder called I've got 2 sprites and tiles. I'm going to open the tile one, and these are the ones I've got at the moment. So I'm just going to click on girder, and then you notice that it just appears there. Just click on to pick its masking color if it has one. No need to worry about that for the moment. And then I'm just going to click add, and now you can see that that's appeared on the left hand side. Now what we can basically do is kind of connect together all the tiles that we've got so they appear as part of one set. So if I wanted to add some more tiles, I can gradually add kind of more rows and columns to this little layout here. You'll see what I mean if I add another one. Let's show you what I mean by adding another one. It'll make it easier to understand. So if I go to the top left here, add tiles, again choose an image. It's now set to a scale of 1. Choose image, and this time I'm going to go for a brick tile, and then I'm going to add that in like that, and now that appears under there. So when I actually start to build my level, when I load the tile sets up, all of the tiles in the tile set will be together. It means it makes it much quicker because all the sprites to do with one game have been grouped in a tile set. I'm going to add another one under here. I'm going to go choose image, and I'm going to choose one of these. Okay, I'm going to choose my pulsing wall sprite, and there we go. I'm going to click that and add that there, and you can see now that actually what I've got here is if I click on the individual tile as well, what I can do is I can specify how collisions are going to work with each tile. So if I go up to my girder, for instance, here you can see at the moment that collisions are set to square. So that means if something hits that tile, it's going to assume that it's hit it at, well, at the edge of its 32 by 32 border and bounce off again. So if I had a tile that was like only filled half of that space, like this one, would mean that I could use that collision. And if I had an angled wall, like I was doing a game where a ball was bouncing off a wall at different angles, I could use a different set of collisions, but I'm going to use a square collision. What I can do as well is if I have any animated sprites, what I could do is I could add the frames for those sprites in here, and sometimes it seems to be a bit funny. Sometimes it lets you import them, sometimes it doesn't. We'll try importing an animated sprite in a minute, but we've got three 3 at the moment there. I'm going to add one more. I'm going to put another one in. I'm going to go for this pulsing wall. It doesn't look like it's doing a lot of pulsing at the moment, but we'll add that in, and then that one is there. And then what I want to be able to do is really choose. Oh, and yeah, there. Now you can see what I've done there. Let's just do that again. So you saw what I did is I was able to import the rest of the image, import the rest of the frames into there, and then because that's an animated GIF, each part of the GIF is imported for me. So let's do that again because this one hasn't done it either. So if I go back to here, frames, double click on there, import image. Let's go to strobe wall. Okay, and well, for some reason that one's not working. Let's try clicking on that. Let's try it one more time. There we go. We actually have to click on the add a frame bit. So I can add frames and it automatically works out if they're animated GIFs and will import all the frames that you've created already. Now here is my tile set, and you can see what I can do is I can add more. I can just click left or right. I can add as many columns or rows as I like, and I can also delete the rows that I've got. Delete row, delete column, and then when I'm done, if I go back to my dashboard, you can see now under tile sets I've got something that says space maze tiles. Now just a little word of advice, you need to know in advance, you need to think about which graphics are going to act as tiles and which aren't. Generally speaking, the things which are going to be tiles in your games are going to be things which will be part of your environment. So you can see I've got walls and girders and things which are going to be part of the maze layout. There might be reasons why your other game graphics, like your players, your collectibles or enemies or whatever, aren't done as tiles. It doesn't matter too much if they are, but you might find it easier to create those as separate characters. But anyway, your first job then, once you've started your game, is to make a tile set for your game graphics so you can build a level. Let's just do one more so you can see from scratch how I've done that. I go open my tile set. Yeah, I'm going to import another one, add tiles, choose the image, look for where I've saved it. So I'm going to put one of these in again. I know I've already added it, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to put pulsing wall in. Yeah, I'm going to add that. I'm going to double click on it so I can see the frames. I can set the collision so that objects will collide with it in the way that I want. Double click on the frames and then just import it again so that I get all the rest of the frames that I want. And I don't think it's letting me do that, but never mind. There we go. I think it has now. There we go. It's done it. No, well, except this time it hasn't imported it. But anyway, you can see hopefully how that works, and I have managed to import most of those as animated tile sets. If you're not working with animated tiles anyway, and there's no need for you to have to do that, it's very, very straightforward. The only other thing you might want to look at is the properties, and that all the properties box tells you is the basic description on the title of the thing that you're looking at, which in this case is a tile set. It's just worth pointing out that the properties tab is always contextual, which means that whatever you're working with, whether it's levels, actors, tile sets, the properties tab, the contents of the properties tab changes to reflect that. So hopefully you're going to be able to import any of the graphics that you've made and create a tile set, and then you'll be ready to build your first level in Stencyl. So have fun, and I'll see you in the next video.